Imagine this, April 17, 2025. Deep inside a hidden Houthi command post in western Yemen, a radar screen flickers. The target was a B-2 Spirit, the U.S. Air Force's stealth spearhead, a flying wing engineered to be a ghost in the machine. It's wrapped in radar-absorbing angles and top-secret materials, making it almost invisible to all but the most advanced sensors. As the Houthi missiles arced skyward, the bomber was already gone. Not hit, not damaged, just absent, a phantom in the clouds. While the Houthi crews scrambled to understand what they just saw, the B-2 had already slipped past them, silently streaming live reconnaissance data to a base thousands of miles away. And what it transmitted would trigger one of the fastest, most decisive retaliatory strikes in modern military history. It was a declaration, and the Houthis had just made a mistake they couldn't undo. They believed they were tracking a Reaper drone, a common sight patrolling Yemen's coastline. They failed to realize this was a fully armed B-2 bomber, flying at extreme altitude, cloaked in layers of stealth technology, and maintaining total radio silence. Its radar signature was smaller than a bird's. By the time their missile alerts sounded, the bomber had already passed them unseen, untouched, but watching everything. The Houthis fired from a camouflaged missile site carved into the rocky terrain near Al-Hadada. Two missiles launched in rapid succession. Inside the B-2's cockpit, the threat receivers chirped briefly. The pilot remained calm, made a minimal evasive adjustment, and deployed countermeasures. But the real defense was the stealth itself. The missiles veered off course, hitting nothing but empty air. No impact, no explosion, nothing. But the Spirit had captured everything: the launch vectors, the infrared signatures, and most importantly, the exact coordinates of the SAM site. In Diego Garcia, that data was instantly processed, mapped, and flagged. This wasn't just a lone launcher, it was part of a hardened, mobile air defense network. And retaliation was already being queued up. Normally, a B-2 would return to base, upload its data, and let military planners decide the next move. But not tonight. Tonight, the Spirit was already armed, carrying smart bombs optimized for buried targets and massive bunker-busting payloads. The mission had instantly shifted from observation to execution. Command didn't hesitate. The missile launch was treated as a direct attack on a U.S. strategic asset, and it demanded an immediate response, but not a loud one. A B-2 response is quiet, precise, and final. Veiled by altitude and the curvature of the Earth, the Spirit altered its course by just a few degrees, placing it directly over the exposed Houthi site. Coordinates uploaded, weapons armed. Without any warning, the first bombs dropped. They fell in silence, their guidance systems making mid-flight corrections to hit within a meter of their target, a camouflaged equipment hub buried behind a rock-reinforced bunker. The impact was followed by a flash of fire, and then secondary explosions ripped through the ridge like sunrise breaking through stone. Then came the second strike. The 5,000-pound bunker busters followed, designed to penetrate deep underground and collapse any shelters. Intelligence had flagged the site as a potential command center or munitions depot. From the moment the Houthis launched their missiles to the final detonation, less than 15 minutes had passed. The site was completely erased, and the B-2, it was already gone climbing, silent, and heading west. Mission complete. This is the reality of ghost warfare. The B-2 was never meant to be a symbolic weapon. It's a tool of strategy, a scalpel, a lever, a weapon of policy. And on that day, it did exactly what it was built for. Even after decades of global advances in radar and counter-stealth systems, the B-2 Spirit still moves like a ghost. That's what made the Houthi decision to fire not just reckless, but catastrophic. Because what they didn't understand is this: when you fire at a B-2 and miss, it doesn't just disappear. It marks you. That night, the Spirit wasn't just carrying weapons, it was carrying sensors that stitched together a complete thermal, geographic, and electronic picture of every single military node it passed over. That picture flowed to command centers, and just like that, the storm began. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most advanced technology. Just 6 minutes, that's how long it took for the hammer to fall. From the deck of the USS Harry S. Truman, Super Hornets armed with JDAM-38s and harms screamed into the night sky. Their first target, the exact same battery that had dared to fire on a U.S. stealth bomber. From high altitude, precision ordnance sliced through camouflage and reinforced concrete. A blinding fireball erupted, followed by secondary explosions, confirming hidden munitions had been hit. 2 kilometers south, a second target awaited its fate, a buried communications node. It had been silently flagged by the B-2, lying dormant until this very moment. A single GBU strike vaporized it, erasing it from the map completely, but the operation was far from over. Simultaneously, strike fighters diverted towards Ras Issa, a port facility the Houthis believed was untouchable. To civilian, they thought; to public, too risky for an American strike. They were wrong. At 1:17 a.m. local time, EA-18G Growlers cloaked their approach, masking the incoming jets. Stams rained down on fuel depots and concealed tunnel networks. Thermal imagery captured the aftermath, a chain reaction of fire tearing through pipelines like veins of pure destruction. By the time the second wave hit, Ras Issa was a raging inferno, and still, it wasn't finished. Offshore, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer opened its vertical launch cells. 2 Tomahawk missiles surged skyward, skimming the surface of the Red Sea before slamming into the port's southern edge. One obliterated a warehouse disguised as a fuel depot. The other collapsed a critical tunnel entrance, sealing it shut. 17 targets, 6 minutes, 0 U.S. casualties. There was no warning. Radios went dead mid-sentence. Radar screens blinked into blackness. Vehicles fled inland without headlights, their doors swinging open in a mad dash for safety. Inside the Pentagon, mission logs confirmed what the satellite feeds already showed: all primary targets eliminated. U.S. analysts had watched it grow for months, but it remained a gray zone target until they fired on a B-2. That single act changed everything. Ras Issa was reclassified from civilian infrastructure to a military node. And with that new designation came authorization to strike. Within hours, the markets reacted. Oil prices spiked. Defense think tanks scrambled for answers. The Houthis expected a delay, maybe a stern warning. Maybe they thought the U.S. would do nothing at all. What they received was pure military doctrine, a lesson written in fire and steel. If you fire on American stealth assets, if you weaponize civilian infrastructure, if you assume America won't respond, you are no longer safe. Encrypted Houthi channels flooded with panic chatter. Missing radar stations, jammed GPS signals. Headquarters suddenly unresponsive. Rumors of cyber attacks flew as unanswered orders piled up. What they failed to realize was that the B-2 hadn't just marked targets. It had systematically dismantled their entire battlefield. Key relays were gone. Command nodes had collapsed. The tempo of their operations was shattered, their confidence erased. While the world waited for a press conference, The United States offered only silence and satellite images of scorched earth. The rules of engagement had fundamentally changed. The rest is a strike wasn't about revenge. It was to set a clear signal to adversaries everywhere, from Tehran to Moscow, that American stealth no longer waits for permission, it hunts. Every assumption the Houthis had relied on their perceived invulnerability, the ambiguity of their targets, the expected delayed response was now obsolete. From this moment forward, any suspicious radar ping, any unauthorized antenna, any unexplained heat signature in the wrong place could mean incoming steel. This wasn't just a strike, it was a statement,